The roar of jet engines echoed across the private hangar, but it wasn't the sound that silenced the room. It was Jonathan Mitchell's arrogance. "Fly this plane and I'll marry you," the millionaire taunted. His smug laughter joined by the chorus of his wealthy friends. They all turned their eyes toward Diana Santos, the black cleaning lady wiping down windows as if invisible. For 2 years she had endured their dismissive words, their careless cruelty, but something in Jonathan's tone that morning struck deeper. Before he could laugh again, Diana lifted her gaze, steady and unflinching. "I accept," she said. Hush fell. Jonathan blinked, unsure if he had heard her correctly. But the determination in her eyes made every man in that hangar shift uncomfortably. Don't forget to subscribe now, because what you're about to witness is a story of pride destroyed and dignity reborn. A reminder that true greatness can never be hidden forever. Jonathan grinned, trying to recover his bravado. "You fly my $20 million jet. This will be priceless." His friends howled with laughter, recording every second for social media. They had no idea that the woman they mocked had once flown F-16s through enemy fire. They saw only her gloves, her mop, her uniform, but not the strength and knowledge she carried in silence. For 12 years she had been Captain Diana Santos of the United States Air Force, decorated for courage in combat zones that men like Jonathan couldn't even imagine. Now, with every insult, every mocking smile, they were awakening the warrior inside her. As she climbed the steps of the aircraft, whispers turned into wagers. 50,000 says she can't even start the engines, one man chuckled. But when Diana sat in the cockpit, her fingers caressed the controls like an artist rediscovering her piano. The years of silence melted away. Checklists, switches, instruments. Each movement was precise, flawless, born of muscle memory forged under pressure where mistakes meant death. From outside, Jonathan sneered. "Look, she's pretending." But the hangar's chief mechanic, a Navy veteran, leaned closer, his face paling. "That's no pretending," he whispered. "That's military procedure. Gentlemen, you're about to watch something extraordinary." The engines roared to life, sending shivers through the ground. The laughter outside faltered as Diana's calm voice filled the radio. "Dallas Executive Tower, Gulf Juliet 937 requesting clearance for takeoff. Destination Seattle. Cruising altitude 35,000 feet. Silence." Then the tower responded. "Clearance granted, Captain. Runway 28 left." The word captain landed like a thunderclap. Jonathan's phone slipped from his hand. "Captain." The cleaning lady. Diana advanced the throttle, the jet accelerating smoothly. Mechanics and engineers crowded the windows, jaws dropping as the aircraft lifted with a grace few civilian pilots could manage. But Diana didn't stop at takeoff. She soared, pulling the jet into a climb, then executed maneuvers that left even seasoned veterans speechless. Loops, rolls, turns so perfect they looked choreographed, performed in a plane designed for business, not combat. Jonathan's friends stared in horror. This wasn't comedy. This was revelation. On the ground, whispers turned into truth. Lisa Chun, a young engineer, sent a message to Diana's emergency contact. The reply came swift and devastating. "My mother was Captain Diana Santos, decorated Air Force pilot, 3 combat tours, 2 medals for bravery." Word spread like wildfire. The woman mocked as a cleaner was, in fact, a war hero. Social media lit up. Jonathan's video went viral, but not as he had hoped. Instead of laughs, it brought outrage. This man mocked a veteran. This CEO humiliated a war hero. Never again. Inside the cockpit, Diana smiled faintly, the jet responding like an old friend. She wasn't just proving them wrong. She was reclaiming herself. Every cruel word had become fuel, every insult a wind beneath her wings. And when she landed, soft, flawless, feather-light, the silence was heavier than the roar of engines. She stepped out, standing taller than she ever had before. "Mr. Mitchell," she said, her voice steady as steel. "Flight test completed. Any comments on my performance?" Jonathan could not answer. His empire had already begun to crumble. By dawn the next day, Jonathan's arrogance was headline news. Clients pulled contracts worth millions. Veterans groups announced boycotts. Investors fled as Mitchell Aviation lost a fifth of its market value overnight. At an emergency board meeting, Patricia Webb, the chairwoman, wasted no time. "Jonathan, in less than 24 hours, you've destroyed 40 years of reputation. And Captain Santos, she has 17 job offers, including one from your biggest competitor." Jonathan's protests fell flat. The video had millions of views. The world had seen his cruelty, and there was no undoing it. While Jonathan faced ruin, Diana faced opportunity. Robert Chun, CEO of Apex Aviation, offered her a role no one could have imagined: Director of Training and Special Operations. A $300,000 salary, full health care for her daughter, and an education fund that secured her child's future. Diana accepted with grace, though her heart burned with satisfaction. She had pushed a mop for survival, but fate had turned her scars into wings once more. 3 weeks later, Diana Santos stood before cameras as the first black woman in Apex Aviation's executive ranks. "For 2 years, I cleaned this hangar to care for my daughter," she told the world. "I am not ashamed. Honest work is never shameful. What matters is that character and competence have no gender, no color, no social class." The applause was thunderous, but the message was louder. Resilience was her true flight path. By dawn the next day, Jonathan was forced to sell his shares and live in disgrace. Clients pulled contracts worth millions. Once untouchable, veterans collapsed into a shadow of itself. Investors fled as Mitchell Aviation lost a fifth of its market value overnight, showing Diana's rise. At an emergency board meeting, she had become not only a leader in aviation but a voice for justice. Inspiring thousands in less than 24 hours, programs designed to lift those who had been years of reputation. In schools, and veterans halls, and corporate conferences, she has 17 job offers. She repeated the lesson burned into her life from your biggest competitor. Never underestimate the quiet strength of the people you dismiss. Fell flat. Her daughter, the video Leia, had millions thrived of views. With the new future. The world had seen his cruelty. At a school presentation, and there was no the young girl proudly told her classmates, while Jonathan faced ruin. "My mom taught me that dignity isn't what you do, but how you do it." Robert Chun, CEO of Apex Aviation, just like Jonathan's cruel video could have imagined. But this Director time as Training and Special Operations. A year later, Diana Santos was not just a pilot, full health care for her daughter, executive, and an education fund that secured her child's future. In classrooms and business schools about leadership, humility, though her heart and the danger of satisfaction. But she had pushed a mop for survival. Was simpler. But fate had turned her scars looking into her daughter's eyes and knowing she had proven that no insult, Diana Santos stood before prejudice could ever keep black women in Apex Aviation's executive ranks. "When someone tries to diminish you, I cleaned this hangar to care for my daughter," limitations, she told not yours. "I am not ashamed. Honest work is never shameful. And if this story inspired what matters is that character and competence for more tales of resilience, no color, no social triumph that prove the sky is never the limit when you have the courage to fly higher. But the message was louder. Resilience was her true flight path.